What is going on, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of the Tuesday Track Talk podcast. We are joined by two-time reigning and back-to-back Midwest Truck Series champion, Brandon Reichenberger. So, Brandon's joining us today. We're going to talk everything racing 2025, kind of talk about the season, the good, the bad, and a little bit of everything. So, yeah, that's the plan for today's podcast. Before we get started, Brandon, how's life been after the racing season's been over?
It's been good. Nice little break from the hustle and bustle of the season from April to October, but had a little time to just be at home and get some things done around the house, spend some time with my family, do some things non-racing related, but still, I guess, kept plenty busy. Making preparations for 2026.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you posted pictures right away that the truck is pretty much bare bones.
Yeah, it's pretty much bare bones. New body getting put on it. About probably 85% of the way done. So, yeah, it's coming together and look, updated and a little bit different.
Yeah, the little blue and orange bottle was that was a good play on social media.
Was there something that wasn't supposed to be there?
Yeah, yep. I don't know how that got in there.
Me neither.
Yeah, that's good. So, we'll kind of just taking a look at the year itself. What made this year 2025 different than any other year or last year?
I feel like this year, if you look at it from a whole compared to 2024 when we won the championship the first time, I didn't win as many races, but overall our performance was better from start to finish throughout the night, being qualifying and also in the races as well. I think last year we passed like 8 trucks or something total throughout the year and won the championship. This year we passed, I think it was 34 trucks throughout the year, and our average finish I think was like 4.0 or something like that, and we're in the top 3 9 times and top 5 12 times. I mean, you look at the course of a season, and last year in 24, I started up front quite a bit. I was kind of qualifying in that, I would say, 7th to 9th range all the time, and kind of relying on the dice roll. And this year, I think we qualified, close to the top 5 on average. I know we were in the top 3 a couple times, and so I think overall our performance from 24 to 25 just was so much better, overall. And it just so happens that, Grant Griesbach was having just as good of a year.
For sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you two were obviously top of the class there, and it's obviously pretty nice when you could have a hell of a battle going on. I mean, the Midwest Truck Series definitely documented that for the last 3 or 4 races as we were going to each of them, and you got that win at Grundy that kind of topped off the first half of the year and kind of set yourself up for that second half of the year. I was down there at Grundy, and I remember hearing you on the radio just saying that you guys were so back and ready to go for the rest of the year. What was it at Grundy that kind of kick-started that and helped you throughout the rest of the year?
I guess I don't really know. I honestly, I think momentum is such a huge thing in racing, especially. We had found some things wrong at Madison in July, even though we finished second to Swan there. Found some things wrong after we got home with the truck and went to Kaukauna and finished second there, and went to Grundy, and we were fast all day. Honestly, qualifying was our weak point for whatever reason, and I don't know why exactly that was. We were fast in practice. Felt good about qualifying. Just, I guess, I think we ended up 4th. Just didn't have the overall raw speed for those couple laps, but I felt like, going to Norway the night before with the quarter mile late model, I had won up there, so I was kind of riding that high, and showed up to Grundy, and Grundy was a very similar racetrack to Norway, just a few extra bumps getting into the corner, and it just felt like that day was meant to be, and that racetrack really fit my driving style and what I was looking for, and some of the things that we did at the racetrack. I felt really good about the adjustments that we made, and from then on, I felt like we were right there.
Sweet.
And obviously, I think I was gonna say the other highlight, obviously, of the season was the many different winners, and not really knowing how each race was going to play out. Just as obviously as a driver in the series, how encouraging is that for you, knowing that it literally is anybody's race to win each week you show up to the track?
I think that's what sets this series apart from many that are out there. I mean, there's a lot of good series out there, but I think the trucks is the best one going. It's so competitive. You look at like qualifying times. I think sometimes there's 2/10 that separate, first to 16th at some of these racetracks. So I mean, we're talking like hundredths of a second, and ultimately, I think that's what pushes at least our team and myself, my dad, especially, during the week and at the shop to be better. Is we're looking for hundredths of a second. We're not always looking for. I mean, obviously, we'd like tenths of a second, and more, but we're looking for hundredths of a second to be better in the fine details. And I when I nut and bolt the truck, oftentimes it's like, geez, this is kind of a tedious, monotonous thing to do in preparation, but the thought in my mind always goes through my head is, how bad do you want to win? What's it worth to you? That's kind of the motivation as we go through when we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
I guess I'll fire off a question here, not jumping right to the end of the season there at the following at the Dells. And you're talking about looking for tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. You're obviously the second last one to go qualifying. I think you qualified third. Grease Spot goes out last and goes to the top of the board. That time there, like, I guess, how nerve wracking is that situation? How frustrating can it be knowing you're starting fourth, the guy you're battling for the championship starting first? And does it leave you second guess any changes you made, or what thoughts are going through your mind in a situation like that?
Yeah, after qualifying, I was pretty frustrated. More so just with myself than anything. I had debated making an adjustment before qualifying, and it was kind of one of those things I knew better. I should have made the adjustment just with some of the history, some of our notes in the past, the different racetracks at the Dells especially. And we had been fast on Friday, fast, in the practice session on Saturday, and just I didn't make the adjustment I needed to make, and ultimately was the difference in qualifying. And points are awarded in qualifying, and if you can be in that first or second spot, you get so many more points than the guys that even are third, fourth, fifth. So I knew right there that was a 7-point loss right off the bat, and so I knew we were down 14, and that was in my mind. The 14 was kind of that tipping point. 16 was probably that real big tipping point. I felt like going into the race. Obviously not knowing what was going to happen, and just kind of going off of what we knew about Grant's success at the Dells and throughout the year. And yeah, I was pretty frustrated, pretty down on myself, but my crew and my dad, they kind of stayed after me and just kept the bug in my ear and just keep playing one play at a time.
Yeah, for sure. So when you look at now winning back-to-back championships, have you noticed a difference in anything, whether it be fan following or social media following or marketing or sponsorship deals? Have you seen a difference from the last year or 2 years compared to now?
I think there's some correlation there from a social media side, especially. And like even when you go to some of these racetracks, people that maybe you don't know personally, or maybe you've seen in passing, you establish some relationships there. And some of the fans that like at the Dells especially, there were so many fans that came up after the races that I didn't know. I didn't know were fans of mine, really followed that close. I mean, granted, we were pulling the engine after the Dells, so everybody kind of wants to see what's going on, which is fair. But when you look at it from the other side of it, I mean, there was a lot of people that I didn't know that it's a, I've been following you, kind of keeping an eye on what's been going on, and so that was pretty cool to hear. From a sponsorship side of things, I always try and make social media a big deal, and in trying put my sponsors' names out in front of the world, with possible. But yeah, I think anytime you can have success and your name can be put out on, especially the series social media pages, that really gets out in front of a lot of people, and it makes people, dig a little bit deeper, and dive in to see, when you see something that says back to back, I think that's a big deal versus just kind of the first one. So, yeah, it's certainly been helpful from a following standpoint, and from a fan standpoint. So, pretty neat to be able to win 2 in a row.
And I feel like now you're, almost putting yourself like in the Chiefs of the NFL. You're putting yourself up there in that kind of echelon of the Truck Series. And I'm sure, obviously, already you've got the page turned to chasing the illustrious three-peat. But I guess now as you not far removed from the off season, I guess what's one of the biggest parts of your program you're analyzing, whether it's with the truck, the team, social media? Is there anything that you're like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to get better, and ultimately chase the three-peat?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just how I'm always operating. I'm always trying to be that 1% better than everybody else, and there's certain things, from a detail side of thing that I'm always looking into to try and see, what was a weak point, what was something that throughout the course of the year, was a reason why maybe things were close, that were part of that wasn't controllable from our standpoint, and that we're doing. There's so many things in racing that are out of your control, that a lot of those things you can't worry about, but it's always good to self-reflect, especially from my standpoint as a driver, looking at what could I do better in certain situations on the racetrack. I always go back, and if the races were televised, streamed, whatever the case may be, whether it's YouTube, if I can find the race, I'm going back to watch it. Obviously knowing what the result was, trying to see, was there an opportunity for me to pick up a spot here? Should I have made a different decision, a different move there? And just trying to find little bits and pieces that can help, me behind the wheel be better. But also looking at, is there opportunities for me to learn some information, or try and better our program, so that way we can be our best in all the different categories, if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at 2025, what was your favorite event or race of the year? If there is one, just one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I obviously winning at Grundy, winning is always my favorite, but that one there, that one I felt like we were just lights out in that race. Granted, we had a couple timely yellows there, but I just felt like we just hit it there. I think we started 11th, I believe. I think past 10 trucks to get to the front, and yes, obviously that was one. I think the Dells was a cool one, obviously, with following. Obviously winning the championship, and that plays into that. But I look at that race, and that was one where that was really the only time I shouldn't say only time, but one of the times most recently in my career that for me, it felt like there was no pressure. It was go all out. It really, you just go out and try and win the race, go as hard as you possibly can. Obviously we weren't going to put ourselves in a situation of wrecking, but if you're tucked up on somebody's bumper and something happens, they check up, whatever the case may be, and a hood gets wrinkled or something, and it just so happens that you overheat or whatever the case may be, and it's not your day. It's just not your day. At that point, it was go for broke. So I was just driving as hard as I possibly could, which was pretty neat, pretty fun, and it just kind of felt like I was freewheeling there for a while. But I just think overall, I look at the season, and there was times where I always wanted that little bit more, and I was frustrated with some things at certain times. But I look back on it, and our year as a whole was just really good. And from a competitive side of things, and yeah, there was just a lot of good moments. Even though they weren't wins, there was a lot of good moments.
I got a quick follow-up question there. Talking about just being lights out at Grundy. I got a feeling I know the answer that you're going to give, but I'll pose the question anyway. Anyways, as a driver, preference for you, is it more fun to show up and just be lights out across the board, or is it more fun, being a tick off and qualifying and start middle of the pack, and then you get out there for the feature time and you got to rock it and you're just driving around everybody? What's more fun as a driver and team?
I mean, obviously, anytime we can show up, and be on it right away, that's what I prefer. I like to win everything, practice, qualifying, everything. I want to win it all, and I don't. It's sometimes, yes, it's nice to be pleasantly surprised when you roll on the track for feature time, but I don't like the suspense of the unknown. I like to show up with my I's dotted and T's crossed and ready to just lay the hammer down.
I figured that was the answer, but I just had to pose a question.
Kind of touching on the Midwest Truck Series again. It's the Truck Series themselves, John Wood and Drew and all of them. They do a really good job, I feel like, with the mid-season incentives and different bonuses going on. I think two of them that really stand out is one, the Dash for Cash races, which you won two of them, the Madison Holly race, and then the Dells, the last race of the year, and then the Midsummer Shootout with that tournament going on as well. What's it like from your perspective, seeing the different incentive programs that they're throwing out there and bonuses that obviously it helps you guys, but it helps the sponsors and other, people get involved in it as well. What is it from your point of view?
I mean, that's what makes the Truck Series stand out. I mean, Drew and John, they provide an opportunity to create excitement. And I know Drew and Beth, and they're constantly working on the series, trying to find ways to make it more intriguing. To try and get teams that aren't involved. Oh, that's pretty cool, and getting fans involved. And the Midsummer Shootout thing, when it came out, it was very interesting. And I've been lucky enough the last 2 years to be in the championship pairing. But things like the Pit Crew Barbecue Dash for Cash, those things there, it's rewards for running good, but then it also gives you an opportunity for some bonus money. And obviously, we all know that racing is an expensive sport, expensive hobby, and anytime you can have the opportunity to win a few extra bucks, that's great. And all of that stuff, I think, builds excitement, creates excitement, generates attention to the series, especially when, as you're scrolling through Facebook and you see this Dash for Cash and you see 4 trucks and you kind of read about, it's basically winner take all from that standpoint for that one race, for that bonus money. It creates some excitement, creates following. If I'm a race fan, I'm interested to know, I want to know who won it.
And I think me and Colin could attest to when we were at Jeffersonville this year, or Jefferson, my bad. And they had that tournament going on. Like obviously, like it's the race within a race as well. It's like you're so tuned in and one minded that you're just running your race. But like for us in the stands too, it's like, oh, you're still making your way through the field to run the race, but you're also ahead of this guy for the tournament as well. So I think it adds that little bit extra the entertainment value for us as well, and just another storyline to keep an eye out on.
Yep.
For sure.
Um,
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, obviously, off season, you talked about the new body going on the truck. So you had mentioned that was the last race. The following was with the Gen 4 body, right? Or whatever gen body it is. You got to get the new generation body onto the truck.
Yep.
What differences do the two bodies have that makes it important as far as which one you prefer to run, why it's switching over, or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess the biggest difference from the old style body that I had on, it's um, no longer allowed starting in 2026, is the new style bodies have the front splitter on them, like you see in the NASCAR Truck Series, Xfinity Series, all that stuff. So it's got the front splitter built into the lower half of the nose. And like the old style body didn't have that. So, it didn't have that splitter right on the ground. The nose wasn't always right on the ground with that platform, like you saw with everybody else. So, yeah, it was one of those things where, the time was coming ultimately anyways. Five Star no longer manufactures the hood for that, the fenders, and the bumper covers. So at least the front bumper cover. So it was at the point where A, there was no parts left. B, I had bought what they had left before the start of last season, just as to make sure I had some spares. So it was just a matter of time, and that was the biggest decision that played into it. From a performance side of things, I don't know that there's a major advantage one way or the other. Some people have their thoughts on that, but at the end of the day, now we're going to look like everybody else. The blue oval is no longer on the front. The bow tie is going to be there. So, yeah, I guess we'll have the front splitter and just kind of see if it makes any difference. You know, we get to some of those bigger, faster tracks for us.
Right. So we're looking, kind of thinking for fun a little bit on this one. Schedule is not out yet. If you could set the schedule to go where you wanted and when you wanted, what would be like one big change you would make, or one that you would be like, yeah, I think this would be fun to do?
I wouldn't mind seeing a second race at Kaukauna. Obviously, being 8 minutes from my house, that's advantageous. But obviously,
Yep.
that's my home track, so I
Yep.
like running at Kaukauna. I wouldn't mind having a second race there. I'd love to go to Norway with the trucks. I think they'd put on a great race up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will happen. It's pretty far drive for a good majority of the drivers living in the southern parts of the state. It'd be a good 3-4 hour drive for them. So I'd love to see that happen, but you know, if it doesn't happen, that's all right too.
Yeah, it's all right for a guy to dream once in a while too,
Gotta have dreams.
for sure.
I've always thought like a mid-year lacrosse trip would always be fun as well.
Yeah, I know that's kind of been tossed around a little bit over the last couple of years, but from my perspective on it, I wouldn't mind it, but I also look forward to Oktoberfest every year. So I think from that standpoint that you only get one opportunity to go there. So you look forward to that Oktoberfest weekend going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So from my standpoint, I wouldn't mind it, but I also like the idea of looking forward to that fall classic.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
For sure. So kind of even thinking a little bit bigger picture on your 2025 season, ran the late model a little bit at Golden Sands. Plans for that next year, working on that to be determined. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, we're still kind of trying to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to do. We'll run a handful of races with that. I don't think it'll be more than 6 to 8 at max with that. But we're still putting together schedules. We're kind of waiting for schedules to come out, honestly, so we can kind of look and see who's running when, and then we'll put together a handful of races.
Sweet.
I do have two kind of fun questions for you. Obviously, you're talking about being, my interpretation of you is you're very meticulous, dotting your I's, crossing your T's when you're setting this thing up. But are you any bit superstitious? Is there like something you do before every race? You got to do this in this order? You got any unique superstitions or anything that you do in a particular order every race day?
I don't know if there's any one thing. I'm always, I don't know. I don't sit still when I'm at the racetrack. That's one thing is I don't like the suspense beforehand. So I'm usually not. You usually never find me sitting down in a chair unless it's to maybe eat a quick bite of dinner or lunch or something like that. But I'm always looking things over, thinking about things, trying to, I guess, in my mind, play out what might happen. You know, taking a look at tires and kind of what they've done. You know, after they've gotten warm in a heat race or after qualifying, etc. I don't know that I have anything necessarily that I have to do in order superstitiously.
And you already hit on my next question there. You're talking about the only time you're sitting is grabbing a bite to eat. And is there a go-to? What's your go-to meal at the racetrack?
Um, when it's cold, I'm a big white chicken chili guy or pizza burger guy. Honestly, when it's warm out, it's tough for me to eat. My wife is actually always on me at the racetrack about you got to eat something, you got to eat something, and I'm usually like either A, too busy, B, it's too warm, I don't feel like eating. I usually, I guess I will say when it's hot out, those long hot days, I'm usually diving into the fruit. So like grapes, strawberries, pineapple, whatever we have for fruit, I'm usually grabbing handfuls of that to keep myself, I guess, full and energized, if you will.
Maybe, I guess, if you're not eating before the race, maybe once all the dust is settled and you get done winning the race, is there a favorite meal post race?
Um, I don't know if I have a favorite meal, but I'm always digging into whatever we got for sweets. So if there's peanut butter Rice Krispies or chocolate chip cookies, yeah, after we get done, especially after win, after wins, I guess it's just have fun, have a soda, something like that, have a cookie, something sweet, and just hang out and enjoy it.
Well, and the quick trip banana rack.
We did have a quick trip banana rack. It's fun. We did have some fun with that.
Yep.
And then obviously at the end of this year, we had quite a few sour punch straws from American Licorice Company. So I don't mind having a few of those also and sharing those with people that come by.
Nice. So
I think one thing we gotta throw out here, and again, this is gonna be kind of a little fun part, but kind of bashing somebody a little bit as well. I think we all know one of your pit crew guys. We'll call him Jack to keep him somewhat anonymous. We always joke that he doesn't do any work. Does he really do any work for you at all?
I guess for sake of this interview, I'm going to say depends on the day. But for reality, yes, he does work very hard. Jack, I mean, honestly, Jack and Tim both, they work nonstop from the time we unload the truck to the time we put it away. And I don't know how they do it. They're always on it. And I've said it before. Without those two guys and my dad, especially, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I've had at the racetrack. So, yeah, if there's any opportunity to make an adjustment or get dirty, whatever the case may be, Jack especially, he's right in there.
On a serious note, obviously your dad's been around the race scene a long time, worked on a ton of cars, raced a ton of cars. When you go for practice, hey, we need to make this adjustment. How like whether you're telling the severity of how bad it is, loose, tight, whatever the case may be. How good are they as a group just kind of clicking and knowing how severe or drastic of adjustment to make in order to get to where you need to be? Like I guess I'm trying to figure out one way to coin it, but just the chemistry, like you have that nonverbal, like you just all know what you're doing right as soon as you make the call.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of the adjustment stuff my dad and I will go back and forth on. If it gets to a point where we both kind of disagree on the adjustment, he'll just say, "Oh, make the change that you feel is best." And um, I think from my dad's standpoint, he's seen a lot of things done different ways over the years. These trucks are, I guess, fairly. I don't want to say that. I mean, they're fairly simple, but there's still obviously a lot involved with them. But they're more of the old school type, when it comes to adjustments. And um, there's a lot of things that my dad and I think very similarly on when it comes to making the adjustments. And some of the stuff, some of what I've been doing the last year, especially, is just trying to find different ways in different adjustments that we can make to, I guess, or different combinations we can make to kind of broaden our tools in our toolbox, if you will. And I'm usually pretty vocal when it's really bad on the radio. I'm usually pretty vocal about how bad it really is. So he usually knows how bad it is when I come off the racetrack. But when it comes to making the adjustments, yeah, it's a pretty well oiled machine from our team standpoint as far as who's doing what and how we're going to get these adjustments made.
And that makes everything so much easier in the course of the day,
Yep.
when you kind of have that chemistry of that. So, well, you guys have any other follow-up questions before we kind of wrap up?
I was gonna say if you want to just rattle off sponsors, you can never rattle off sponsors enough.
That was going to be next. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I got a lot of people that help us out and make our team go. Pete's Auto Repair and Sales here in Appleton, QA1, Wonders Trust, Barricade Flasher Service, The Corp Racing, BMR Electric Carts, Ken Sports, Bits and Pallets Depot, Jay's Barbecue, Fairways Lawn Care and Snow Removal, Randy and Dawn Witt, Global Fab, Menco. We have a lot of people that are important pieces to our team. You know, like every single one of them is crucial and an important piece to the puzzle. So without all those people, we wouldn't be in the position that we are. And yeah, just very thankful to have all those people on our side.
Had one that just popped to mind too, talking about a new body. Can we expect a new paint scheme this year?
Be something different. It won't look the same from a scheme standpoint. It'll still be pink, black, and yellow to some extent. I don't know what that design is going to look like. Obviously, if some new partners come along and wanted specific colors, then we'll go that route. But as of now, it'll be pink, black, and yellow to some extent, and just gonna keep rolling with that scheme.
Seems to have worked out well the last 2 years. So why go away from it now?
It's been all right.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of wrap up, we will put your social media handles in the descriptions of both the videos and the podcast. So if anybody's looking to reach out, you have a direct line to Brandon and his pages and all that stuff. So we will link those all in the descriptions. But thanks for joining us. The first interview of the off season. So it's been good having you on there, and we appreciate you taking time to join us.
So. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for having me. It's always cool to listen to the podcast every week. So keep up the good work.
Thanks. That wraps up the special edition of the Tuesday Track Talk podcast. But until then, we'll see you all next week.